It's practically all bunker shot. Of course, even the best of clubs can be used in the wrong way. But I'll try to demonstrate the right look and a hard sock, like that. Well, this is the real story. At the start, the club head addresses the ball, with the face slightly open. The club is taken back on the outside, enabling the face to open up. The swing is very upright, and at the top, the club face is open. As it comes into the ball, with the aid of the left hand, the club head slides through, forcing both.
Why, yes. I watched them made at the factory. Why?
Well, the making of Wilson iron starts with the finest sort of forgings, made in exact duplication of the original master pattern. To join the iron head snugly to the steel shaft, the hosel is drilled out, and provision is made to locate the anchoring pin. The hole must be located very precisely if the club is going to feel right in the player's hands. Naturally, each club head is tested separately to ensure a perfect fit on its shaft. There's a skill in this that calls for something more than a fine machinist. The rough-shaped iron is given its final form by grinding, and believe me, that requires knowledge and patience. Craftsmen take off a little here and a little there until the iron is shaped precisely like the original model. It must weigh the same, balance the same, and gauge the same within a tolerance of no more than 1/1000th of an inch. That's certainly following specifications. After the club heads are shaped and dressed for finishing, they must pass a close inspection before they're approved for marking. Those that meet all the critical Wilson standards are then stamped with the distinctive Wilson trademark. Chrome plating gives a finish that is handsome, of course. What's more important is that it prevents all rusting or pitting or even tarnishing of the forged iron club head. A final polish on a buffing wheel gives a bright luster to the hard, silvery chromium plating. Now the head and shaft are put together to stay together through anything that may happen. This expert flexing operation is the surest way of making the two parts permanently into one, as a good club should be. Accurate alignment of the blade and shaft of each club cannot be a mechanical job, but calls for experience, a keen eye, and sound judgment on the part of the men responsible for this skilled touch. Winding the leather grip on the shaft is one of those things that you might think was simple until you tried to do it. This really takes a lot of patience and knack in order to get the even tension that is so important. Finally, the swinging weight balance is tested on a sensitive logarithmic scale. Matched sets of clubs must register precisely alike here, and such precision is the result of scrupulous care in every stage of manufacture, for Wilson clubs never have anything added to them to produce swinging weight balance.
You know, Gene, I think the real secret of my low scoring is in perfectly balanced clubs.
You're right, Johnny, and many thanks, old boy. Now, folks, here's the thrill for you. A big, long-legged fellow, the present national champion and also the winner of the Western Championship. One of the outstanding players of all time, Ralph Goodall.
Hello there, sir.
Hello, Ralph. What do you figure has lowered your score in the last few years?
For a long time, Gene, I wasn't hitting the ball very well because I felt my clubs were not properly balanced. When I began using these coordinated balance woods, I really found my swing.
Well, Ralph, there must be something to that, because you certainly have been winning. Did you ever see them make these clubs?
Sure, I've seen them do it time and again. But I'm not the fellow to spoil your story, Gene. Go ahead and tell it.
Just a smart boy, huh?
No, not at all.
The persimmon tree produces some very delicious fruit when it's ripe, and some exceedingly tough wood. These rough blocks are carved out with the aid of an ingenious machine in which the master pattern at the left guides the cutting knives that work on the block at the right. Persimmon wood has an exceptionally dense grain and unusually even distribution of weight. When the wooden embryo is roughly shaped, it goes to a skilled craftsman who conforms it precisely to the model. Each stage of the work as it advances becomes more exacting. The tip of the carved club head is removed by a man who knows that every 1/1000th of an inch counts. Accuracy and distance are both aided by the face of laminated fiber, previously impregnated with a special solution and then inserted in a recess in the club head. After gluing, the face block is pressed into place in a vise. You may get a better idea of its relation to the club by looking at the head, which has been cut open to display a cross-section. Like the irons, these woods must be bored to accommodate the shaft. In addition, they are drilled so as to provide for the screwing on of the sole plate. This is another one of those operations where an invisible deviation from absolute accuracy might put a player off his game, and no amount of care is too great for Wilson craftsmen to take on this exacting job. In every natural product, there are sure to be slight variations. The blocks of persimmon wood cannot be absolutely uniform and alike in density, so the club heads are individually weighed on a highly sensitive scale and classified accordingly. Now comes the most critical step in the making of a fine club. The fellow who does the facing operation can build in a grand slice or hook, but this Wilson craftsman is both a skilled workman and an excellent golfer in his own right. He knows his job. A final light sanding is the first of the finishing operations. Allowance has been made for this, but it's important not to sand off too much wood. The shaft is fitted to the club head with the same accuracy that is required in attaching the steel heads. Friction provides a snug joint, and brass screws are inserted to maintain head and shaft permanently in the correct relationship to each other. The leather grip is wound on in the same way as on the iron clubs. In either case, the shaft is then laid on an even surface and the leather wrapping expertly ironed out with a heavy wooden block until the grip is smoothly finished and without any irregularities. Of course, the color of the wood club has nothing to do with its performance, and this is just a matter of personal preference, though there do seem to be definite style cycles. Dipping in a suitable stain fixes the color. The finish is hand-rubbed, hard and resistant to wear and weather. The craftsmen who do this job take just as much care as though they were finishing heirloom furniture, and as a matter of fact, damage to the club at this stage would probably be a lot more ruinous than to cabinet work. A feminine touch comes in at the very end to put the last bright glow on the shining clubs. And when these girls are done, you can take just about any club in the lot and use it for a mirror. Now for the matching. Swinging weight balance is only one of the numerous factors that make for precision in a set of clubs. It's a natural quality of perfectly made clubs, and it may be lost by errors in any stage of manufacture. Matched clubs, when balanced at the same point in the shaft, must show identical weights.